Welcome back and congratulations on completing this course. We hope you found it as informative and invigorating as it was to put together. This module offered a range of approaches that are being implemented, and we hope it gave you some ideas about how to think about food systems in your city. In summary, we consider what we've learned in each of the modules. We started by asking, why do we need to talk about food in African cities? During this module, we covered some of the basics in relation to why food matters and what some of the mega trends are that currently impact the way in which we approach and understand urban food systems. We learned about how the SDGs and Agenda 2063 each approach the issue of food insecurity, and ended with the story of feeding Nosipo. Here we learned that there are many different factors that impact what people eat every day. We then asked, well, what happens when the food system and urban system intersect? Here we looked at the history of food insecurity, as well as the history of food planning in African cities. This led us to the various shifts in agendas and approaches to food planning that have been influenced by history and context. We then asked, well, what happens when food systems and urban systems intersect? Here we looked at the history of food insecurity, as well as the history of food planning in African cities. This led us to thinking about the various shifts in agendas and approaches to food planning that have been influenced by history and geographical context. To wrap up this module, we introduced the idea of city regionalism, which has become a popular conceptual framework for many international food planning-related documents, and looked at how this approach potentially creates governance gaps in relation to food planning. We built on this theme of governance and mandates through the prompt of, well, who wakes up and worries? And the story of somebody, anybody, and nobody. We looked at the role of various urban factors like informality, infrastructure, social services, and health systems in relation to food. Here we suggested that governance needs to be thought of across sectors within the state, but also beyond the state, urging that good food governance needs collaboration across sectors. Then looking into the future, we asked, well, how will the decisions we make today shape the nutritional landscape of the future? And we looked at this through the lens of global shocks. Here we delved into specific health, economic, and climate-related shocks, their impacts on the food system, and how cities can best respond in the face of more regular shocks. Finally, we ended by looking at practices for future food in African cities and asked, how can emerging approaches enhance food security? Here we learned from those working in practice and research about how collaborative governance, multi-stakeholder engagement, NGOs and civil society, as well as long-term strategic approaches can each play a role in enhancing urban food security. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this course, and we hope you've enjoyed the materials and content that we've assembled for you over the last few weeks. But most importantly, we hope that you're able to apply some of what you've learned here in your daily urban practices.